Pokemon. One of the best franchises to ever be created. This franchise has set up many childhood for many people all around the world. But today, I'm focusing on the Pokemon games that has been released throughout the years from the very first Pokemon Red, Blue, Green, and Yellow, all the way to the current Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I'll be going over the games from the first ever released, as well as the game console that were released in, all the way to the current one. Quick disclaimer though before this video begin, this will only be Pokemon mainstream games as well, so no other outside games. So yeah, just a heads up. Also, anything I do say wrong, like in this video, please leave in the comments below, and please don't roast me too hard. You know. So with all that being said, let us begin this video. So let's start with the Game Boy Era from 1996 all the way to 2004. So this was the first ever Pokemon games to ever been released. The Pokemon games were Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow. That was known as the first generation Pokemon games, released during the time of 1996 through all the way to 1998. The Pokemon games were created by Satoshi Tajiri for the Game Boy. Now, for me, I have played these games, but later on in my life, not on an emulator, but I never really owned them because at the time I wasn't really born yet, so you can probably guess my year during that time. But anyway, at the time of the release, I never played these games, but now during all the year, I have played the games, and during the games, when this Pokemon game was released, there were only the original 151 species in the Pokedex. And for many, that game potentially started what now considered to be the best franchise ever for many people, because these games were all set in Kanto, so us in the Kanto region, and it was basically almost a one-to-one recreation of what we expect to see if we watch the anime as well, if we play the game side by side. Now, the Pokemon Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance were many people's first handheld game console. The Game Boy Advance had the games you can play up to Emerald. So during that time, we had some amazing games released there. So which games are, for example, Red, Green, Blue, Yellow, Red and Blue, Gold, Silver, Ruby and Sapphire, Fire Red and Leaf Green, and lastly the Emerald games that were developed for the Game Boy. And for me, what I started was the Fire Red and Leaf Green series when I was like probably 8 or 10, and during that time, it was the best time. No, not 8 or 10. What am I talking about? I was like 5 or 6. But during that time, that was honestly the best time of my life because this was the first ever Pokemon handheld game I've ever played, and I can remember vividly during that time that I would constantly replay Pokemon Fire Red, Leaf Green because there were such amazing games during that time, and playing as, I guess at the time I thought I was gonna play as the protagonist Ash, but whatever version came on, you play as obviously the girl or the guy, right? And obviously I played Fire Red, and I wanted to play the guy in the right clothes, so I played Red essentially at that game, and I was and basically it was, like I said, a one-to-one creation of the Kanto region. If you watch the anime, where you fight everybody in there from I think same gym leaders, same route, all the way to the Elite Four. To I think you fight the champion, which I think should be Gary, I think, maybe Lance. One of those two were the champions of the game, and where you end it all, and you become the champion. So that time for me was obviously the best time of my life because it was the first ever Pokemon game I've ever played. It was the first one I ever got as a child, and brought me many happy memories. But you know, as I said later on, I did play the OG Red, Blue, and Yellow. Honestly, they're okay. I still stick with the Fire Red, Leaf Green more, but that was because I guess that was because that was my first game. So moving on to that point, we fast forward to 2006 to 2012, which is known as the DSI era. Now this era for me was honestly one of my fondest memory Pokemon games. So in this area that I will call the DSI era, this is where I played most of my Pokemon games. The first Pokemon games that were to be released on the DS were Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. I think this handheld game console was probably one of the better game handheld console I played throughout the years, because I think because this was the first handheld console I think we were introduced to touchscreen, and to which I don't think we ever had before, where the bottom of our screen was actually clickable by a stylus or our finger, and we were able to pretty much select everything manually. And I think this was also the era where we were able to have both mixture of 3D graphics and sprites for our characters. And to me, I actually thought that was revolutionary because they actually cared about having different like customizations characters for, not customization, but actually different art style for our battles and for our trainers and all that. And my favorite thing, even to this day, my favorite things were the day and night cycle that Pokemon had. And my most favorite one of all that, I think they went all out on like their stream for it, was Pokemon Black and White 1 and 2. Like, I mean, my god, were these games like just astonishing. I mean, I know people would hate on Black and White 1 and 2 because of how easy and I guess linear the games felt, but to me, I felt that too. But now as I've gotten older, I realized that the game was really cool, even though it felt linear. I mean, just simple things that I didn't admire before, but I do now looking back, was like the seasonal changes in BW1 and 2, and the camera angles as they turn as you run through the bridge or look around the cities, or just having rotational battles and where your Pokemon just go swap side by side. I mean, the Pokemon put the DS to its like maximum output in terms of creativity and just development of little things that for me felt like amazing to have. Like having introduced real-time seasonal cycles to the series was amazing, and having certain Pokemon change depending on the season was really cool. Like for example, the Pokemon Salisbuck and Deerling color and flower on their heads would change based on the seasons your DS was. And to me, and that was absolutely phenomenal, because imagine like you opened up your DS game and it says in Pokemon Black and White, open your DS game, the springtime, you see I think leaves falling, or no, that was probably fall, but DS time, or my favorite was when it was wintertime, you open your DS and like I think snow particles will fall, or DS time, fall, leaves will fall. That was to me just simple things that I felt was amazing, that made the game more fun. And I mean, of course I can overlook the other games, like I overlook some of the games like DS Era, like I said, DP Platinum. I know for some people favorite, Heart Gold and Soul Silver 2, and BW1 and 2. They're all amazing games that released during this era. And I think this was during this era of 2006 of 2012 where these Pokemon games were released. They were my fondest memories of Pokemon, because I probably had the most time to play with, and to me it's just like, I think it just put the most effort into Pokemon. Not saying they don't do it now, but like I think that was like during the time where just everything was just revamped to something new that was like never ever seen before, and that was amazing. Now, to me, now we're going on to 2013, 2017 3DS era, 3DS, 2DS era. Okay, so we are diving into 2013, 2017 3DS era. If we are being honest, to me, this era was not that memorable. It's honestly most forgettable to most people, mainly because in this era, we only had like 2 new regional Pokemon games, which are Pokemon X and Y, and Pokemon X and Y, and Sun and Moon. But still, this era of Pokemon games was pretty good. It introduced Pokemon in 3D graphics, character customizations, new Pokemon battles like Sky Battles, Horde Battles, and Inverse Battles, and of course, my favorite, Mega Evolutions, which I think stood out the most during this era. Also in this era, we had remakes of Pokemon. And the remakes I mean that I think people looked forward to the most was Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, basically the remakes of the original Ruby and Sapphire. And then we had Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, technically not remakes, but like they made another version of it. It's basically like BW1 and 2. So Omega Ruby and Sapphire remake was amazing to me. It brought back Mega Evolutions for our starters and other Pokemons at the whole region. It was a game a lot of people were waiting to have a remake, and for some reason, I don't know why, like I said, the game Sun and Moon was released in 2016, and then Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon basically came out like a year later, but this time I think it was the same game, but they only added the crows in the game, so it's not too different. I don't really know why they did that. It could have been a DLC, but I mean, I still enjoyed it. But yeah, like I said, the 2013 to 2017 era of this 3DS, Switch, 3DS, 2DS era was pretty short-lived. It's only been like 4 years, because after that era, we go straight to the 2018 to 2023, which is the current era of the Switch era. So, alright, so now we are on our current handheld game era, which I call the Switch era. The Switch era first game was released in 2018 with Pokemon Black and Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. This Pokemon game was basically the remake of the Kanto region, where we can interact with some Pokemon in the open world, and where your Pokemon can literally run beside you, just like they did back in Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Now, if you ask me, that was probably my favorite feature of the Pokemon franchise. This era had a new Pokemon game, also as in Sword and Shield, where not too many people liked it, and following that, we had what many people were considered very disappointed in was the remake of Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Now, many fans were outraged because the remake of Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, they hated the art style, the chibi art style, and felt like the game did not put any effort. They did not, like, the game developer did not put any effort in the game. And they made the pretty much BDSP look like a game made for the 3DS, not for the Switch. And for me, I mean, overall, I see the criticism in people's eyes. I personally enjoyed it, but I mean, obviously not everybody else did. So 7 out of 10 for me. So I mean, so now we go fast forwarding to Legends. Now, Legends Arceus was probably one of the best Pokemon games that have released in a long time, just because this Pokemon game was set in the past. The character that we had actually looked like humans. Like, it had a full body, not like a little chibi style or small sprite, but it was a full body, like I guess X and Y, and I think people still hate it, like, because I remember some of the reviews I read were like, some people were like calling it, oh, this is basically Breath of the Wild light or something like that. But I mean, like I said, hey, to me, I think it was a good game. Pokemon has never ever done anything like this before. I really enjoyed the open worlds experience it gave me, and I had a very fun time playing it and exploring the game. It felt scary at some points where we saw like a big Pokemon, like a big ass Snorlax just running at you with glowing red eyes, and at some other points in the games I'm just like, ew, what the hell. But for example, one of the ew moments, or one of the moments I disliked of the Legends Arceus game was Dialga and Palkia origin forms. Okay, no hate, but I mean, come on, man. If we're comparing it to Giratina's origins form, Giratina looked 1,000 times better. I mean, what happened to Palkia's arm, man? Like, what did they do to my boy? And Dialga, it looked like he swallowed something and it's stuck in his throat hole. 8 out of 10 for me. Now, we are getting into the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I will say the game had a lot of bugs, like seeing through the walls, floating Pokemons, some glitched out images when gliding in the air. This game was pretty revolutionary. I mean, for example, having your Pokemon fight open world for XP was cool, like Legends Arceus. Battling any gyms you wanted in any order was cool as well. It was cool as well. And I think one of the darkest scenes, not dark scene, but like one of the darkest moments I think was when I saw Arven's parents. At the end of the game, you fight like their parents, but you realize it's not really their parents. They were basically dead by the end of the in the end of the game. You find out they were dead, but they were probably dead a long time ago, caused by some things happening in the laboratory. And the one talking to us, like basically the whole entire game, was basically the AI version of them. So Pokemon went really dark there. I did not expect that. I expected actually like it's just an actual parent, but not like an AI version of them. But yeah. But anyway, that was pretty much unexpected. But overall, I did enjoy the game. Minus the large amount of bugs I would see, like just floating through the wall, or just like having things like teleport at one place. But overall, I did have fun. I give this game about a 7.5 out of 10 because of the large amount of bugs. And yeah, all right, and I think that's it. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I didn't go into any of the DLC versions because I did not want it to feel like I didn't want to, because like if it was a DLC, it was not necessary for the main story game, so I didn't think it was added because I wanted to give everybody who played the game, who doesn't purchase DLC, a fair chance that everybody would get without buying extra stuff. But yeah, so just mainstream games, no DLCs, all that. But if you guys did enjoy this video, please give it a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Take care.